Hi, this is Diane Peters from jcharvestinvestments.com. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a great one. It's cold here in the Northeast. I'm freezing. They said it's going to get to be 55, but I don't know. I'm just really cold. Where's spring? I'm going to call it out in a couple of minutes and find out if spring even hears me. Today, I'm talking about another one of my favorite athletes. If you listen to me at all, you know I love sports. I don't know why I do. Maybe it's the competition, because I do like competition. And I usually, like I said, compete with myself more than I worry about what other people are doing. But there are athletes that I look up to, and one of them is still Michael Jordan. I do remember when he played. I remember his whole attitude. You know, some of the athletes I see today, they're kind of like too egotistical, I think, or braggadocious, if that's a word. But Michael Jordan always seemed to just not talk it, but do it. You know, I was just looking at Entrepreneur Magazine, and I found this article on his quotes. And one of the ones, you know, everybody's heard about the many times he shot the basket and it didn't go in. Everybody's heard that quote. That's one of my favorites. But I did stumble upon another one, and this one he says that obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. And that kind of is like my life. You know, I've told you I've had some stumbles in my life. I'm not perfect, but I have had some issues in my life that I don't really think about when they happened. Like my first marriage, it didn't work out. Much too young we were, and it just didn't work out. The best thing out of that marriage were, of course, my two sons, who I love dearly. But other than that, I mean, I've had some stumbles. I've had situations that have happened to me, and before my relationship with God, I really was, I must admit, a little lost on it. But I know one thing: if something can't kill you, it can't beat you either. And I knew that anything that happened to me, and I told you about that horrific car accident I had, I just, you know, put my mind in another spot and just don't allow myself to go there all the time. Those obstacles can be there, but I realize I have control over them, and I just have to focus on, you know, what is going to beat me. Now, I must make you aware of my family dynamics. I grew up in a family of 9 children, but my mother had 7 births, because when I was 18 months old, there were a set of triplets born: Danny, Lloyd, and Charlene. And I'm 18 months older than them. Hey, Danny. Hey, Lloyd. Hey, Charlene. I hope you're enjoying Florida. And it was a fun family. I felt it was a fun family. But the funniest thing happened to me. My sisters and I were at a show, and it used to be called, and this for some of you who are very young, you know, you remember this talk show host. His name was Phil Donahue. He used to film out of New York. But this one time he had a situation where there was a strike in New York, so he was filming out of Stanford. So my sisters and I went to one of his tapings. And as we were leaving there, my sister said, somebody called out, "We're looking for a black woman who's been raised like a princess." Now, my 3 sisters, we were all going through this revolving door, and I was in between them. And when they heard that, they stopped the door, they picked me up and brought me over to the producer and said, "We've got the black princess right here." Well, mind you, I was offended. I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm the 3rd oldest in the family. You know, what? I got like 5 under me. What are you talking about? I'm no princess. You guys are crazy." So then I decided to go back and do an interview with all the ones in my family. So the oldest was Ricky. Love him dearly. He's gone home to be with the Lord. My sister Anita. And then there are the triplets. And then there's Terry. And there's Jeffrey. And there's Denise. Now, the funny thing is my interview with all of them was so totally different. Ricky really didn't make a big deal out of it. He just said, "Yeah, you got treated kind of special." Anita was like, "Oh, it's about time you found out how special you were treated." Charlene she doesn't really want to tell me about certain things. So she really didn't say much to me. But, you know, she kind of said, "Yeah, you got kind of special treatment, Diane." And then I think the most surprising of all was Denise, because after my divorce, I moved back home. Denise was in high school. Mind you, Denise had to share a room with me. She was the youngest one, mind you. My sons got what was her bedroom. It was really surprising to me to listen to Denise talk about, are you kidding? You know, if I started complaining about you, Mom just started telling me, oh, poor Diane. I'm the youngest in the family. You're the third oldest, and I'm being made to feel sympathetic for your situation. I don't even understand what the heck happened to you, she said. And it was just funny to me, but at that point was the point of awareness for me. Because after interviewing everybody in my family, I just realized, hey, yeah, I kind of had been treated like some kind of special princess. But I didn't realize it. And I think we can all go through life not realizing the roles we play and then not wanting to own it. So mind you, since that day, I've been trying to own my idea of who I am, or my awareness of who I am and what I'm all about. But I will tell you, I did go on the Phil Donahue show. And the funniest thing is, out of that whole program, the person who reminded me of the princess the most was my sister Charlene. Because she got on that program, and I'm telling you right now, the only thing my mom said to me when I got in the limousine to go down to the city for the taping is, don't let Charlene talk. Mind you, I was so nervous, I forgot all about that. And we were in the green room, and Charlene was telling them, is this the kind of food you have for a princess? Obviously, she was buying this role. And then the next thing they said, well, all the visitors are going up to the blue room. I heard Charlene arguing as they were leading us out of the green room. There's other princesses there on the podium. She says, I'm not going to the blue room. I'm saying, Charlene, please, go up to the blue room. No, I'm not going. So I said, oh my goodness, I had to leave the room. I go and sit up on the podium with the other women who were princesses in their own culture. And the next thing I look over and there's Charlene waving at me. So let me just tell you, it was the funniest situation because I'm watching her in the audience, and at one point I said to her, why don't you come up here? She enjoyed that show more than I did. And I'll tell you, to the point that 2 years later, we went back to visit the Phil Donahue show again. And Charlene said to Phil as he was shaking everybody's hands and went out, hey, Phil, do you remember your Black American princess? Here she is. That's just my sister Charlene. I love her dearly. But it did help me to understand that sometimes the roles we play in our family, we don't even realize how they affect the other members of our family. And what they do to them and how that affects them. And I still hear sometimes a little pain in my younger sister's voice when she talks about that period in her life. It must have been very painful to her. So all I can say, sorry, JD, I didn't mean to make your life that miserable, but I was in my own balloon and my own cocoon, wrapped up in a lot of pain. So sometimes that's why we do what we do. But I do know that pain is not a message that says to us, or a signal that says to us to stop. Pain is telling us to keep going forward. So I'm thankful that when the obstacles came in my life, I have to give the credit to my parents, the way they raised us, is that's the way we were raised. Whenever obstacles come in your life, you go over them, you go through them, you do whatever you need to do to get over them, but you get over them. So once again, I thank you so much for listening to me today, and thank you for hearing my story about the Phil Donahue Black American Princess program. I love all my sisters and brothers, and I thank you so much for listening to me, and you have a great day. This is Diane Peters from jcharvestinvestments.com. Have a great one.